Assalamu alaikum students. This is your English teacher from FEI. I hope you all are doing very well. Today we are going to talk about another topic of grammar, that is conjunctions. As you know, it is one of the part of speech, and today we shall see how it is used, what is its function. So first of all, let's see what conjunctions are. What are their function? Conjunction, as other parts of speech are there, it also serves to connect words, phrases, clauses, or sentences. And in other words, we can also call them joining words. Those words which join two or more than two words or phrases or clauses, they are known as joining words or conjunctions. Now, there are three types of conjunctions in English grammar. Number one is coordinating conjunctions, correlative conjunctions, and number third is subordinating conjunctions. Now we shall see what are the functions of these three conjunctions. First of all, let's see what coordinating conjunctions are. What are their functions? How they help us in, framing sentences, and what is their function. Coordinating conjunctions are those conjunctions that help us to connect words of same kind, such as two or more nouns or verbs. It means whenever we have words of same kind, be they nouns or be they verbs, coordinating conjunctions help us to connect them. And another function of this conjunction is it helps us to connect larger group of words. For example, we have prepositional phrases or complete sentences, we have a long sentence, so it helps us to connect those. Now what are those conjunctions which come under this category, which help us to connect words of same kind, or which help us to connect sentences? These are but, and, for, not, or, so, yet. Whenever we have to connect nouns, how can we use these coordinating conjunctions? For example, my dad and his boss met for lunch to close the deal. So we have two nouns here. One is dad, another is his boss. So when we have to connect these two nouns, what do we use? We use this coordinating conjunction called and to connect these both nouns, and we say my dad and his boss met for lunch to close the deal. Or you can use another example as well. For example, you can say I like tea and coffee. There are many more which you can use. For example, George and Elena have gone to Chennai. And I'm talking about and here. Now let's see when we connect verbs, how coordinating conjunctions help us. For example, they brought my soup but forgot to bring salad. So verbs, verb, action word. So the example is they brought my soup but forgot to bring the salad. Brought is a verb, forgot is a verb as well, and they are connected by using the conjunction called but. You can have other example as well. For example, I like chocolate but my sister likes coffee. Now coming to the next example, when we have to connect propositional phrases, you're already acquainted with propositional phrases. We've already done that in our previous classes. We also use coordinating conjunctions while we connect propositional phrases. For example, put the vegetable onto the table or into the basket. So both the propositional phrases are connected by or whenever we have to connect two sentences, at that time we can also use these coordinating conjunctions. For example, the roast was still in the oven, yet it was time to eat. So there are two different sentences, but when we are supposed to join them, we can use these coordinating conjunctions. Next comes correlative conjunctions. As we talked about coordinating conjunctions, same is the case with correlative conjunctions. It also helps us to connect words of similar kinds. But how are they different from coordinating conjunctions, we shall see that. Coordinative conjunctions, they are pairs of words that connect similar kinds of words or groups of words. In the previous conjunction, that is coordinating conjunction, in that we saw that there are single words that helps us to connect different words or verbs or sentences or propositional phrases. But the correlative conjunctions, they work in pairs. There are two words that helps us to connect similar kinds of words or group of words. For example, both and, neither nor, whether or, either or, not only but also. So they work in pairs. Examples are also here. You can add on your own as well. Now, when we have to connect nouns, how can we use these correlative conjunctions? Make sure whenever you talk about correlative conjunctions, they work in pairs. They are two, group of two words. Then we can use them, in order to connect nouns or pronouns, verbs, etc. So when we have to connect nouns, how can we use correlative conjunctions? Either the blanket और द क्विल्ट विल वर्क. या तो ब्लैंकेट से काम चल जाएगा या तो रज़ाई से काम चल जाएगा. So either and or both have to be used. Then only it can be a correlative conjunction. Or when we have to use pronouns, neither she nor I know the story. You can use other examples as well. If you talk about noun, where I say that either the blanket or the quilt will not work, there are other examples as well. For example, either she will accompany me to the bus stop or I'll go my own. So these are two different sentences which I gave you, and we can connect them with correlative conjunctions. Next is when we have to connect verbs. Every afternoon he both calls and emails. Both and, they are correlative conjunctions and they are joining two verbs here, that is calls and emails. Next, connecting propositional phrases. He's arriving today, whether by car or by bus. I can't stay. Or whenever we have to connect two clauses, at that time we can also use correlative conjunctions. Not only do they skate, but they also ski. So correlative conjunctions, they work in pairs. That is the most important thing which you have to keep in mind. Unlike coordinating conjunctions, there is only one word which we use and we connect either two sentences or two verbs or two nouns. But in correlative conjunctions, we have to use pair of words. ठीक है? दो words से होते हैं. Next comes subordinating conjunctions. We talked about coordinating conjunctions, we talked about correlative conjunctions. Now let's see what subordinating conjunctions are. Subordinating conjunctions are those conjunctions which helps us to connect two ideas by making one idea dependent on other. Now, what does it mean? It means that this subordinate conjunction joins a subordinate clause and a main clause, which is also known as principal clause. You're also aware of what a main and what main clause is, what dependent or what independent clause is. So what subordinate conjunction does here? It helps us to connect these two. So what does it do? It helps us to join subordinate clause with the main clause, or which is also known as principal clause. And the words given in this box here, we use these words to use subordinate conjunction in our sentences. For example, we have after, we have although, we have as if, as long as soon as though, because, before, even though, if, in order that, since, so that, than, though, till, unless, until, when, whenever, where, wherever, and while. So all these words we use whenever we talk about subordinating conjunctions. Now, how does this subordinate conjunction work? Subordinating conjunction always introduce the dependent clause. So that clause which is dependent for its meaning on the independent clause, it introduces that. What is its job? इसका काम subordinating conjunction का काम होता है, ये हमें introduce करता है, ये start करता है कौन सा clause? Dependent clause. The words which we did in the previous slide, that is after, as soon as, if, all these things, ये words करते हैं introduce एक dependent clause. It connects the dependent idea to the main idea. As I told you that subordinating conjunction joins subordinate clause to the main clause. तो ये जो subordinate clause होता है which is the dependent idea, it connects it to the main idea जो main clause होता है, जो principal clause होता है. The dependent idea can come at the end or beginning of the sentence. जब हम subordinating conjunctions use करते हैं, which we use obviously to start a dependent clause, that dependent clause can come either at the end of the sentence or at the beginning of the sentence. There's no hard and fast rule that it has to come either on the beginning or in the end. No, at times it can come at the beginning or at times at the end of the sentence. For example, I made the plans after I heard the weather report. मैंने अपने plans बनाए बाद में जब मैंने weather report सुना. या यहाँ पे देखिए बाद में आता है. And the second sentence is when she called yesterday. ठीक है? When she called yesterday. So it is a subordinating clause. We don't know when she called yesterday. जब उसने कल call किया फिर क्या हुआ? उसने बोला मैं आपसे मिलूँगी. उसने बोला tomorrow we shall have a lunch together. No. तो what when does here? It connects it with another clause, that is I was worried something was wrong. When she called yesterday, I was worried that something is wrong. Or you can use another example here, that I have not seen him since he was a boy. Or as he was not there, I left a message with his mother. So all these examples, and you can use your own examples, we use them in subordinating conjunctions. Conjunctions, very important part of speech. Whenever we talk about our traditional grammar, conjunction does have an important role, and if we are not able to use the parts of these conjunction properly, it may have an effect on our language. We may not be able to put forward our point of view, our sentences correctly. So I hope things are quite clear to you. Although it's a short topic, but you need to practice it. You need to use different examples in order to get mastery over this particular subject. I shall be back with another video soon. Till then, you take good care of yourselves and keep practicing. Keep working on your language.